All right, like we said in the last segment, let's get out of the courtroom and into the debate room. Joining us now to talk about debates and many other things, we have Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and co-author of the Breitbart Business Digest. We got Byron York, chief political correspondent at the Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor, and Katie Pavlich, editor at townhall.com and Fox News contributor. Welcome, everybody. Alex Marlow.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Alex, kick us off, okay? Astute political guy that you are, living out there on the left coast, watching all these shenanigans here. Get out of the courtroom, into the debate room. But here's the theory that's surfaced on this show this week, Alex. Get your take on it. 100,000 people rally, second largest in American political history ever. Wildwood, New Jersey shock, I call it. That led directly to Biden's shock, and they tried to make him into a tough guy debater, okay? Does X lead to Y, which I don't know what Z is going to be, depending on how much B12 they kick into him. But how do you see this, Alex Marlow? Is this happening? They've freaked out over Wildwood, right? So they got Biden up there as a debater. That happens in 5 weeks. They may freak out again after Biden goes into this debate. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're sticking with Biden, Larry. I've said that. You've been kind enough to give me the opportunity to say it repeatedly. And people forget. Joe Biden did better against Donald Trump in the debates than Hillary Clinton did. Hillary did terrible in those debates. Joe did okay. He tends to be able to rally and get propped up for an hour or so a couple of times a year. I don't think this is going to be any exception. And we on the right, we downplay him. We undersell him so much. All he can do is overachieve.
Yeah, Byron, you agree with that? There's something to that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there were Republicans before the first Trump-Biden debate in 2020. Some Republicans who thought that Biden would get up there, wouldn't know where he was, and would be unable to debate, and it just didn't happen. I mean, he had been in 11 Democratic debates prior to that. So I think that's kind of a no-win idea. On the other hand, I think Biden felt the need to shake up this race and do it soon. Our new Fox poll has the Biden and Trump about even nationally, but he's in trouble in those 6 key states. You got to win Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And if he loses enough of those, he's going to lose. And he actually needs to do something to get this race moving in his direction again.
Katie, on the other hand, Trump's got a lot of ammunition right now. I mean, back in 2020, he had COVID in the first debate. He had COVID during the first debate. That's my view. That's always my view. I was with him that morning, and he was sick. But putting that aside, he's got all kinds of economic ammunition. We went through it in the opening segment of this show. He's got immigration ammunition. He's got law and order ammunition. He's got chaos. You know, the world is up in flames. Afghanistan, through Russia, Ukraine, through the Middle East, Israel, Hamas, and, of course, Biden's mishandling. I mean, Katie, this is a different Donald Trump, is what I'm suggesting. You may or may not agree with that, but I think he's running a better campaign, more on the issues, and no matter what he says, I think he's going to be really ready for Biden. He's not going to underestimate him. What do you think? Is that possible?
Yeah, he has a great campaign. They are very, very disciplined. They're learning from the mistakes that were made in the last go-around against Joe Biden. And look, Donald Trump has the good facts on his side, and Joe Biden has the bad facts on his side, which is why you're seeing Joe Biden going out there and lying about inflation, saying it was at 9% when he entered office, when it was at 1.4%. So, you know, Donald Trump is going to be able to really pick at those details and remind people that on every single level, the country was better off as a whole, but also individually. You know, when you look at the inflation rate, you know, cost of living is up in every single category by at least 20%. It's not like energy is the only factor here of being more expensive. Every single thing that Americans have to buy is 20 to 30% more expensive, and that has compounded itself to make things unlivable for a majority of Americans. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these demographics pulling away from Joe Biden, whether it's black voters, Hispanic voters. You know, you're not seeing the high-class elites with their multiple degrees pulling away from him because they can afford his policies, but most Americans cannot.
Alex Marlow, unusually, the first debate is ahead of the Democratic National Convention. which I think is October 15th or 19th or something. The debate, as you know, is the 27th of June. So that leads to my question, Alex. If Biden flunks the debate, no matter how much B12 they try to pump into him, and Lord knows what else to get him going that night, if he flunks the debate, will they pull him? The Democrats have convention rules. They could get him to retire, resign, I don't know what happens, open the floor to a couple of candidates, have the first smoke-filled room. God knows how much demonstration is going to be on the outside. Now, my point is there is room to remove Biden if he flunks that first debate.
Yeah, there certainly is, but I can't picture a scenario where he does so terribly bad that they can't just come up with a news cycle to make him look better than he did and make him a passable guy at the convention. That's what they're going to do. That's what the plan has been the whole time. Look at the prediction markets, Larry. People with money on the line, people who put their actual dollars at stake here, they think Biden is between 40 and 50% to win the whole election, much less get the Democrat nominee. So that's where we're at right now, and my mind's not going to change unless something crazy happens.
Byron York, would you take a nibble out of that? I set this up, you know. He flunks the debate, and then they pull him in the convention. Can I get a nibble out of that?
No, not at all. Actually, listen. I think
terrible.
I think the convention actually starts on August 19th. That's 3 months from now, and Biden completely rules the Democratic National Committee Rules Committee that controls everything in the debate. And unlike a primary season, let's say it had been an open seat and there was the primary season and Biden had beat out 10 other opponents in the primaries, there aren't any other people that voters, Democratic voters, actually voted for that the convention could turn to. The only choice is Vice President Kamala Harris. I don't think that excites a lot of Democrats. So I think the chances of this happening, absent some major health crisis on Biden's part, I think the chances of that happening are zero.
Katie, no one seems to have any imagination on this panel. I mean, there's just no imagination. I'm trying to make a movie here, and these guys are giving me clinical depression. I mean, help me out. It could happen. You know, if Biden does badly in June debate, the Democrats, honest to goodness, the Democrats took one look at 100,000 rallying for Trump in Wildwood. This is the Jersey seashore on a Saturday in May. 100,000. We haven't seen anything like this in 90 years since FDR did something similar to that. And FDR did pretty well. So they look at that and they freaked out, Katie. The Dems freaked out. A couple days later, here's Biden trying to be Mr. Tough Guy, even though he had to make, 8 edits in 12 seconds or whatever it was. And now he's in the debating mode, and we're supposed to get excited about that. Well, what if it doesn't work for him in the debate? Trump is a very canny communicator, as you know, Katie. So I'm looking to you for some Hollywood here. What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, if they decided to replace him, there would be a massive fight, because how are they going to manage the fallout of not choosing Kamala Harris to replace Joe Biden? They don't want to do that. There would be a fight between Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, for that position. And it would be very undemocratic for them to just plug someone in after Joe Biden is the incumbent and, won the presidency in 2020. But I'll say the June debate isn't necessarily just about Joe Biden trying to get ahead when the polling is bad. And in a response to New Jersey, of course, it's because the election really starts in September. Early voting in a number of these places starts in September, and that's how Democrats win elections. They bank millions of votes 2 months ahead of the election. So going into Election Day, Republicans are millions of votes behind in these swing states, and it's very difficult to catch up. And that is why they have moved this calendar a little bit earlier. All
right. Byron, you've been covering the New York City courtroom a lot. What do you make of this? It just doesn't seem like it's moved the meter. The needle hasn't moved at all. Mr. Trump may be convicted. He may get a hung jury or something. It's hard to know. It's going to spill over into next week. Quickly, Byron, what's your political assessment of this trial in New York City?
Well, I have to say I went into it assuming that there would be a conviction Now, after all the evidence from the prosecution has been presented, I think it's possible you could see a hung jury, although I think conviction is still more likely. And I think that a lot of Republicans still haven't gotten their head completely around what Alvin Bragg is doing here, especially about the so-called other crime that's involved. I don't think he's going to name the other crime. He's not going to prove that Trump committed the other crime, and the judge is going to let him do this. He's going to make it easier for the jury to convict Trump.
All right. Alex Marlow, just close me out. Close me out. Who is going to be the next president, in your opinion? Just a political panel.
Oh,
Who do you
Donald
think?
Trump will be the next president.
You do? You think it'll be Trump?
Yeah, Donald Trump's going to be the next president. Yeah. Yeah,
What?
I do.
And
I think people are going to see through all the manipulation, and he's going to get it in the end.
I mean, so we should believe the numbers. The numbers all saying the same thing. I mean, polls aren't votes, but they're very important. You're buying into the polling story, Alex Marlow.
Oh, no, I never buy the polls. Don't trust the polls. I just think it's so overwhelming. I think it's your point about the inflation earlier.
Yeah.
It's baked in the cake. You can't, the one CNBC headline is not going to change what every American family is feeling at the grocery store right now.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to be the key. Absolutely right. Inflation, lousy incomes. They can't afford to live in the Biden economy. Thank you, Alex Marlow. Thank you, Byron York. Thank you, Katie.